Hello? Alright, I'm gonna try to do this and see how things go. Here we go. Alright, so there's a lot of information to cover, and this is rather last minute for me. I will do the best I can. Obviously, I'm having issues with my voice again, which I've had every year about this time for a couple of years now. I don't know if it's psychosomatic, but I do know that there are patterns repeating, and I'm not sure exactly what it means. It has me asking a lot of questions about our free will. Now, I do have a notepad here with me because I'm not feeling well, and there's a lot to cover. If you're new here, welcome. I'm just some woman trying to do my part. This is an act of love and repentance, and through the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb, we defeat our enemy. So that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, let me see. I don't know how to look at the comments and the screen so I can see both. I'm still getting used to all this, so please forgive me. All right, where am I? Hold, please. All right. So what you're looking at is the Las Vegas sphere. I'm going to go over that in a minute. But again, there's a few things to say first, a couple disclaimers. I hope everybody had a nice holy day season. It was rough for me. I know there are things coming in 2025, and that's why I do this. Back in like 2017, 2018, when God radically woke me up and gave me back this connection that I used to have with Him as a child, that I believe my mother exploited to the fullest extent. That gift left for a while after she made me use a Ouija board, and once I started being born again around 2017, the dreams and visions started happening. I never thought I'd be making videos like this. I used to make makeup videos. I was kind of, I was lost. I had gotten so numb and desensitized by the things that I had done and had been done to me that I was just on autopilot trying to support my family, and it caught up to me in a big way. And I am still having this massive illumination of conscience. And I know that everyone is going to go through that or is already in the process. However, in this time, there are more individuals here who are still numb. Their hearts are hardened, and we are not all the same. But I am a pacifist. I do not believe in violence. I do believe in peaceful resistance and personal sovereignty. I believe that comes from the Creator Maker, the one who made us, and everyone is welcome here. So far, everything that I have received when talking with God, aka praying, no, I don't hear an audible voice. It's more like a heart to heart in my heart. I don't know how else to explain it. People say, how do you know it's God? Well, because the voice of God tells me things that maybe I don't want to hear, but I have to hear. It doesn't sugarcoat things. And everything that I've grasped so far from my prayer time has happened. And I believe God asked me to witness this to you guys, because when things happen in my immediate area, that's like I don't get out a lot, but He's showing me everything in my own personal life. I'm not sure yet what that means on a personal level for me, because I'm too close to it. But again, I know that the things that happened in my family in 2018, 2017 ended up part of some butterfly effect that kind of entered the whole space. And so this is all an act of penance and love for my family and for my fellow beings here who live, breathe, bleed, and are conscious. Sorry. All right, so what's coming? Everything, again, ends up in the public domain. I believe after the first, we're going to go cashless. Why do I believe this? Because it was a weird week. I got a lot of hundreds and fifties, and I work at a pizza shop, and I mean, everybody was bringing them in, and I had to check to see if they were real and the whole bit. Then on my phone, which I don't carry on me at work, there was a Google article in my news about, and it was on anonymous. I wasn't in my account. There was an article about how to tell fake money from real money a couple of years ago. That one kid that I see about town, he's kind of one of the organic portals, I guess. I don't know. He says some strange things to me. One day he told me I was the key. Like, they just very, very bizarre out there things. He told me that he had gotten in trouble for passing around counterfeit money, but he didn't know it was. But listen, the time we're in, everybody is getting initiated, no matter how big or small. And if they're going into jail now, that is a sign of some type of thing occurring. Notice all of the people that they are letting out of jail. They are Gypsy Rose. They are considering letting out the Menendez brothers. And I'm not here to judge them and say whether they're guilty or innocent. I'm just saying we are in a time where evil is being called good and good is being called evil. And so you really have to keep your temples as pure and clean as possible so that you can have proper spiritual discernment. Allow me a moment to get a drink of this water, and then we'll get into all these topics. I have a couple of short testimony stories. I got to finish the cashless thing, and we're going to talk about a couple of hard topics, but it's not time to sugarcoat things. And again, if I am part of some butterfly effect, then passing this information along could help. But I want to caution you and warn you that in this time, you need to be blessing your devices and, declaring things over them that you do not consent to, demonic interactions and attachments, because these things are coming into our reality either by design or as some type of judgment, because we are under judgment and the church is judged first. And that's why you're seeing a lot of things happen to certain individuals in certain churches. I don't make blanket statements. There is no group and no individual that is all good or all bad, other than the Lord, the Creator, the one who made us. And I'm just going to try and do my part. All right, so they gave me all these 50s and hundreds, and then where my spouse and my son and this woman that allegedly has a child with my youngest son, it's all very convoluted, and nobody is behaving like their normal selves, and I have been isolated and secluded away from the family, the bigger family. And the last couple of times I did see people, things were very odd and peculiar. And it is just kind of validating that I'm not the only one who is seeing these things, and this is why they want to shut down TikTok. For some reason, TikTok has less restrictions on it, and it's a warning that's telling us TikTok. And 2025, I believe time is up, and I'll show you why I believe that in just a moment. And God is allowing it to happen. And I think America has been very protected for a long time. And it doesn't matter what land man calls Israel. It matters where God's people are and where Christ walked and what God called Israel in the beginning. And they have lied to us about everything else. And I said on the original channel, Berean Chen, that it's odd how USA is inside of Jerusalem and how strange we have so many cities named Jerusalem here in America. And so many of us targeted individuals, us people who have started having dreams and visions the last few years, how we've been isolated and secluded. Most of us don't fly. I told you how it's peculiar. Pilots, I believe that they have to be initiated. I believe they are Freemasons and they are deceivers. And Lucifer is the prince of the air. So that should tell you all you need to know about flight in a certain aspect. That is his dominion. That is his principality. Oh gosh, this is hard. I'm sorry. The holidays are very hard for me because it's the anniversary of everything imploding in my family. And there's this pattern that things are happening over again. And I feel like we're all kind of stuck in it. I mean, just look at the election. It's just a repeat of 2016. So now what's probably going to come next is lockdowns. Now, this is just speculation. All of my disclaimers are in the description box. So I believe we're going to go completely cashless in a short time, probably the first few days. Okay. All right. So what's next? Personal testimony. Do you guys want to hear personal testimony first, or do you want me to go over, kind of hack through these headlines and tell you what's happening? Because here's the thing, you can't dwell in one paradigm. You have to be willing to look at every group, every, what do I want to call it? Every matrix from above. And that's the thing. We're never going to know the shape of this or what the quote unquote simulation is made of while we are inside of it. Like that's almost a lost pursuit. It's kind of a waste of time. We should focus on why we're here to begin with and what our goal, what our goal is. And if we have a problem to solve, identify that problem and then talk about solutions. But again, everybody's kind of manic and crazy. And again, I hate to say it, but it's almost validating seeing things like demon syndrome and how they're trying to cover these things up. Now, the first thing I'm going to warn you about is the Masters of Illusion and Deception. If you never looked it up, there's this thing called the Fallen Angel Oath, and in it, allegedly, they all took it, the ones who fell to Mount Hermon, and it talks about how they would poison us, they would take our children, they would kidnap us, and we would be so confused and turned around that we wouldn't know who we were or where we were. And none of them are allowed to speak on it because if they did, I guess there would be what to pay. Now, you're going to say, what does that have to do with all of this? Kind of everything. The treaty that our president signed, Eisenhower, I think it's called the Magna Carta Treaty. I might be wrong. I don't want to look all this up again. I'm just trying to fill in some background here for you. That treaty is up. That's what you're seeing happening. This is why so many things are in our face. We are seeing spiritual warfare manifest physically on a massive scale. And please excuse me, I'm normally eloquent and articulate, but I think it's the Granada Treaty. Sovereign Cosmic Wild Man. I really like your handle. That's really neat. Welcome. I think it's Granada. I do too. So that's the thing. That thing is up. It's the perfect storm. And again, you don't have to believe me, but I'm here to warn you. I'm also going to do a video about how the biblical story is in Friday the 13th, and it tells you everything to do and how to walk and navigate, walk this out and navigate through these times. Okay? And Wild Man, it's interesting. You took that name. I believe that's what some of the Sasquatch call themselves. Man, I'm ready to go live with them if there are any that are vegetarian, because this is a bit intense. I don't know how to get into this. This is wild. Okay, so here's the first thing. I want you to look at this. First, I want to open your mind a little bit. Thank you for the blue heart. That's my favorite color. It's the color of the water in the sky. That should tell people something. So take a look at this sphere in Vegas. What we're going to look at, I'm going to go to the proper screen here. I want you to see the inside of it. Now, when you're inside of this thing, look, you can't see inside of it. There's people in there, but you can't see them because on this material, right, on this dome, is millions of LED lights, okay? Almost like if you were a kid, I'm going to tell my age here, the little light bright things as a child, like those. Now, if you imagine you're inside of this, now that's what we're going to do is try to inside. There it is. There are advantages to technology. Remember, all of this comes from the Most High, and some of us might have to reframe our concept of what God is and his nature, because this high-tech stuff is just blowing my mind, man, and I don't mind saying so. You can call me ignorant if you want. I'm very sheltered. So yeah. Now, again, I want to give you a warning. One of the first dreams that sort of came true was before I was born again, and it was like, and I had dreams like this throughout my life. In 2016, before the flooding dreams, I had dreams I was in an arena, right? Like a baseball arena, a sports arena in a city. But instead of there being a team there, I was like backstage almost, where there were like dressing room. There was like clothes, like wardrobes on like things you see at retail stores. And my dad was there, and he was on a stretcher. Now, my dad had died of cancer in 2012, so he had already passed. But he's laying on this stretcher, and there's other people there the same. And he's hooked up to something. And he pulls me to him, and he says, "Jenny, they're killing me." Now, I had that dream several times. A couple of years later, there was a tour called the Burning It Down tour. I convinced my spouse to take me. Back then, he would grudgingly do things that I asked him to do that involved travel. I have not been to the local Walmart in like 3 years. Like I can't get into it because I have to stay focused on what I'm here to do. Damn it, I just lost where I was going with that. Shoot. We ended up going to the Burning It Down tour. And so I had never been to a concert inside of a stadium, but there I was with, watching Miranda Lambert, and that is who I dreamt of, whose concert I was at. Now you're going to say, what does that have to do with anything? Well, they're harvesting energy, okay? That's one of the things they're doing. Now you're hearing about this concert Amnesia. Now you saw the Travis Scott concert, some Taylor Swift concerts. Now, things are starting to leak out. You have to understand these are not just entertainment. These are rituals, and they're using you as portals for energy. They're using you as conductors, okay? And you are electric beings. I'm not saying you can plug in necessarily, but I am saying, water is a conductor. We are a third of water, aren't we? And that's a lot, right? I'm not quite sure how it happens that we get electrocuted at all, but regardless. So imagine you're inside this dome, right? And you can't see out. And the people outside of it, they can't see you inside of there. This is them building it, okay? Now, I don't know if you've seen any of the videos on TikTok, but it is wild, guys. Now, I went to the Buell Science Center in Carnegie. I grew up right down the road from Carnegie and Frick. And my dad worked at Frick, and he just was so proud. I hate to say that, but he was. So anyways. Oh, shoot. Where was I going? I'm sorry. I'm so not feeling well. The Buell Science Center. We had laser shows, right, when I was a kid. And that was a big deal. And I went to see, like, Jane's Addictions and, what was the other one? Pink Floyd, The Wall. And that was pretty intense back then. But this is, like, a whole other level because, again, imagine you're inside of the dome. You can't see anything outside of it. So they can project anything they want onto the dome. What am I getting at here? I'm going to do a lot of this. I apologize. In science study or science class when I was a kid, we called this the Van Allen belt. It was understood that you could not get to deep space because of a wall of heavy radiation. All right? They'll tell you all kind of things to scare you, but we are loved. That's the thing. The problem is even NASA even has like cloud machines. I don't even know if clouds are real. From my understanding, Eden was like almost a steady mist, like very comfortable. It had temperature control, right? Imagine a petri dish. And again, we are beloved, or we would not still be here. We would have been like stepped on or crushed or flung into, the far reaches of outer space by now. However, every now and again, the eye of God peeks in and does not like what he is seeing down here, and he cleans house. I don't know how else to say it. I really don't. I'm not feeling well. I don't have time to mince words. I'm feeling very oppressed spiritually. Every birthday and every holiday, my quote-unquote family does things to hurt me purposely and intentionally. I understand I asked for this. I asked God for my purgatory here and now so that maybe other people seeing me go through this would avoid certain behaviors or would change their minds and start. There's nothing wrong with pleasure, mind you. God put us here. We are physical beings. Your body is more important than they are telling you. They want you to discard it because they want it. They call them containers. This is why so many people have changed. It's like a massive dose of possession has occurred. And I know, again, I can't mince words. And I don't mean like vintage Catholic movies. I mean like the frequency in people's brains is at an all-time low, and it's erratic, and they are in conflict in their own hearts and minds, and so they are not behaving like well-balanced individuals, right? They are doing despicable things, and people like this are dangerous. But I do not promote any kind of violence. I do not consent to my personal rights to what is it, to bear. You know what? I don't own any. I refuse to have any in the house where I'm at for a very specific reason. I've tried to avoid how this was told to me that it was going to end. And who knows, I still might. But, obviously there's an element out there that does not like what I'm doing. Obviously, I'm dealing with something bigger than I can understand. I'm going to tell you a real quick testimony about church, about high strangeness. And it's weird. So just hang in there because we're going to get back to this. I'm trying to open your mind and get you out of your current paradigm, get your head out of politics. None of those politicians are going to save you. I don't even think they're real individuals. They're not who control things. And the ones they're showing now aren't the same. Boy, this is so wild. I can't believe I'm doing this. But again, everything God has showed me has been right. Go back through the videos. Go back. Just go back and start watching them oldest to newest and listen to the things that are said. I know because I said them, I remember, so I don't have to go back. So stadium dreams. So cashless. I told you we're going to go cashless. That's probably going to happen sometime the first of the year. I imagine. I never thought they would take the internet down because it makes sin too accessible. They want you to have access to corn. Replace the C with a P. TikTok is showing you too much, and I'm going to show you a couple of videos of the still pictures because, again, I showed you these things on RT years ago, and then they shut down RT. I can't get it on my computers. I don't know if you guys can get it, but the cameramen on there were just showing everything that was going on, and it's just more insane than you could imagine. The world really is a stage. This is what they do. If they seem like they've done this before, it's because they have. And this is why I'm saying, is this the end of an age? It's the end of this age. Is it the end? Is Christ coming back? Sure seems that way, but I know they're good with us thinking that either way because they want to manipulate us in any way they can. They are going to want to put the chip in you, and it's going to be just like the last time. They're going to say, just like they said, well, if you don't care about your neighbors, if you don't mask up, right? They're going to say, well, you must not care about your children very much if you don't want to keep them safe and know where they're at. It's just a little chip. It's not going to do them any harm. And if it can receive frequency like a cell phone, I'm here to tell you I worked in cell phones. There's a reason they wanted everybody on the digital bandwidth. I shouldn't be. Hear what I'm saying. There's a reason they wanted everything digital. Is the military on digital? What is their backup? No, they're not. Look it up. I can't say anymore. Look it up. Oh, God. I worked in cell phones. I worked in banking. I work with food. I've seen what is happening. Watch for the pestilence. The food is bad. They've been storing it. I guess maybe they were trying to help us. I don't know. Now there's just this lack of knowledge. Like, I don't know if people are reverting or going reprobate, or again, they're just not on the right frequency, man. Do no harm, though. Don't do any physical harm. You hear me? Christ never took up arms against anybody. He delivered them. Now, men are going to want to protect their families if they're in their right state of mind. But ladies, a lot of the males are in error. They have been led to error. Everything is the opposite of what it was last time. Last time it was the woman. Now it'll be the man. I believe the AC will somehow be a part of the rainbow community, but that will be probably covert. It won't be obvious right away. I believe the Antichrist uses these organic portals, and that's why people appear to be having a hive mind. It is what they refer to as Legion. I think he is playing his own version of a live action video game through people. You're going to say, well, is that technological or spiritual? It is both. It's both. You have to face where you're at, what this place is made of, and what it is we're doing here. And again, I don't want to say too much because there's a way to go about this. You don't want to push people too far into things, because then you could shock people. And again, they're trying to avoid a panic. We do have people on our side leaking out this information, and people like me are kind of decoding it. All right. And they tested me. They took me to an escape room, and then that night we played a Pictionary, or whatever it is when you draw the pictures and guess what's being shown. I did very well at both of those things. I impressed my uncle and aunt. I heard them fight downstairs that night. I had thought she loved me. I don't know. Ever since then, I started with the gang stalking and all that business. I've always had military around me, always. It's just a coincidence. I do not consent to being used like the diviner in the New Testament with Paul, who used to be Saul. That is not what's happening here. God asked me to witness, and so I am. So many men are in error. He is showing these things to a lot of women, and we are all over YouTube, but you have to find us, because they are hiding us, quite obviously, which I don't consent to either, and I don't consent to other people profiting off of the message. The point is to cause a ripple effect and get it out there. All right, so if you have a dome above you, all right, I did cashless. I did the arena. Hold on to the arena thought for a moment, and harvesting energy and what's going on at concerts, okay? Let that sit for a moment. Go back to the firmament. The firmament is its own projector. That's how rainbows are made. That's how these things called sundogs are made. It depends. It's geometry, guys. I don't know how else to explain it. I'm not good at geometry. I've never been good at straight lines. I'm an artist. I'm good at composition, but I've always needed tools to do like perfect circles and triangles and isosceles triangles and acute everything. Squares, rectangles, octagons. I've always needed straight edges. But now I just know how things work. Ask and you shall receive, and that's why I'm so overwhelmed, because I'm trying to get a lot of this out at once, because you need to prepare your hearts and your souls. There are people who are going to need you, going to need to lean on you, because again, this has been going on since at least 2019, this purge, okay? And it's about to be blown wide open in a lot of ways. And I'm the one who said the safest place for some of these people is behind bars, because the ones who are left here who somewhat have their scruples, and make no mistake, the reason some people are left now who still seek God is to witness. We're the only ones who know the prophecies. We're the only ones who can point to these events and say, this is what this is. Or they wouldn't know and they wouldn't be saved. And we know in the end days people get saved. We have all recently been promoted, and it's happened 2 other times, and this will be the 3rd time. This is the last time. Are they raptures? I don't know. All I know is that spiritually something happens and there's a decline. In 2018, I noticed a lot of people that I knew personally and online turned their profile pictures sideways. And these are people who know how to upload pictures. That is one of their signs to each other. After doing that, they abandon that account and they go to another one and start a whole new Facebook or Instagram. I also noticed at that same time pictures of babies with somebody holding a wad of cash, and then instead of a name, there was a phone number. How is this stuff being allowed? Why is no one talking about any of this? They're taking our babies. And why do you think there's a baby boom right now and they're allowing it to happen? That was one of the reasons for the lockdown. And why do you think it's so many young people? Every woman almost that I know in town that has children is a grandmother. And I'm not old. It is all connected. Why is Elon having designer babies? He bailed Amber Heard out with Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp's like one of their main dudes. I remember I chastised him once out loud in front of the spouse, and he like went off the chain. This was when he was in court with Amber Heard, and I was like, look, that sounds like us. And everybody was saying, you know, how wicked she was. Y'all don't understand what's happening. Whatever the narrative is in mainstream, it's the opposite. I'm so weary of saying that. And I do love people, and that's why I'm doing this. And I love God. And I love, adore the family He gave me, and I'll do almost anything for them. And I have and am walking through fire for them still, because I really want us to be, I want us to have, you know, an era or an age of Renaissance again, where there is peace and we have truth, and we are allowed to discover and explore our own habitation. This is our land. They're not allowed to do this, but that's why they hide my channel, because I tell you about your sovereignty. You have to start saying, I do not consent. I do not consent to poison in the air. I do not consent to being exterminated. This is speculation. I do not consent to my water being wormwood. I do not consent to my food being Soylent Green. If you don't understand what I'm saying, look up the words you don't know. Again, I'm trying to be as obvious as possible. Time is very short now because things are blowing up. People are seeing things and showing things everywhere. They can't control it anymore. And so they're going to start taking credit for things of God. And that's when it's going to get really bad, because that's going to be like the last insult after idolatry and the murdering of, you know, all the innocents here. Okay, so if this is being done to us, all they would need is Starlink and the firmament, and they could make it look like anything is in the sky. The firmament is the screen. We can't see out of it. We don't know what's out there. I know what's out there. Some of you know what's out there. Why is it blue? What do you see here? Water's above. Water's below. Why are we in water? God made us in His image. Wouldn't He put us in a place where we're really safe? How much of our air, how much of the oxygen is water? We're part, you know, we are elemental beings. God made us from water. He made us from the clay of the earth. He made us from the fire of the Holy Spirit. And He made us from His breath, the breath of God, air. So, yeah, we're special. But you're sovereign. See, what the fallen angels want to do here, basically, in a nutshell, is they want us to give up the planet. They want us to give up our first estate like they gave up their powers and principalities and fell, and they want to take this and turn it into their idea of quote unquote utopia. They were trapped in Tartaria, which I believe is Antarctica. And then you have the fourth, the Euphrates River, which I believe is either the Colorado or the Mississippi, one of the two. Probably the Colorado, because they have fallen angel statues there. And I believe, yes, things have been turned into stone because God used the three sisters, Medusa and her sisters, to battle this out. The elementals fought each other for us. The spiritual battle is being brought into a frequency where we are going to be able to see it. Right now, we're seeing the effects, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this, but I'm looking something up, so just bear with me for a second. It's a TikTok video. I can go back to this if I need to. I showed you this several years ago when there was an earthquake in Mexico, and there were clips being shown on RT, and there was a pool with what looked like, I can only call an offering, a bunch of bananas, and the pool was waving up and down. The whole land outside was rolling up and down, and then the trees started breaking and parting like something very big was making a path. We are told that the Nephilim, the progeny of the fallen angels, that once their parents were made to suffer and watch them all die, they would be called the evil spirits that roam the earth. And they are. And they're awake. Why, I don't know. End times, whatever you want to call it. God is using all of this to our good eventually, though, right? If you're not a parent, you need to really quickly understand that a loving parent disciplines their children. They don't want you harmed. They don't want you to be deceived and lied to. Now you see what I'm Googling here, right? And this is how I do this research with me, because I like you to see the process that I use, and how I go from like topic to topic, and then how we kind of can tie it all together at the end, regardless of what they're telling us. We don't want to care. We don't really care about the words coming out of their mouth, and I hate to say that. We want to shut that down, and we just want to look at what they're showing us, because that's where they gain our passive consent, is in the images, and that's why they do the concerts live, and that's why they do movies, is to gain your passive consent and to govern your mind, government. All right, so right here, this is the video that it is. I don't know if this is just going to show me in it. Let's just do still. I have my disclaimers and copyright notices, but still. Are you not going to show it? Come on, man. Just show the woods. All right, hold on. Hold, please. Let's see what it says. Right there. They cloak themselves like the predator. All right, you're allowed to have 30 seconds of sound. But you saw it there, right? There's something starts breaking all these giant trees, but you don't see what it is. However it is, they cloak themselves, and it does look like the predator, and I know this because I've seen it. They will give you migraines. Why, I don't know. I'm severely allergic to them. I suspect that's why I'm like this right now. And anytime, like, for example, if I'm walking to work or just taking Samson for a walk, and I go down to the end of the road, past 222, the house with two addresses, look for that video, it's up there. One time I went into the trail, and of course there was a couple passing us, one with a safety vest and another very young woman, of course with no teeth. And the guy with the dark glasses, that's one of their costumes. They're all bad actors. Truly, they are. The psalmist David asked God to knock out the teeth of all of his enemies. It is not substances, it is this bloodline. That's what happens to them. Most of them also have double rows of teeth in there. The hybrids have issues like that, okay? And it's painful, and I feel bad for them. And they're right in front of us. They have been the whole time, and I'm going to show them to you. And if you don't believe me, that's fine with me, but you've been warned to stay away from concerts, don't go to sports arenas, don't go to anywhere that has a giant group of people where they could trap you inside. Don't do it. Jesus even tells us, in the end times, if they say I am here, don't go. If they tell you I am in the woods, do not go. For every eye shall see me and every knee shall bow. And that's coming. You've seen all the sports idols bowing to their idol. Again, this is all in reverse. You're going to see everything done the AC way. He's going to counterfeit God. And then God's going to... This is the last chance for people to repent who are lost. And that's not going to last very long, I don't believe. I think the Antichrist, from my understanding of Scripture, is revealed 3.5 years into the tribulation. So I believe that's where we're at-ish. Now, are they right about the 7-year thing? I'm not sure about that. I know it says that in the Bible that like we have seasons and usually they last 7 years and you should prepare. He had Joseph prepare for 7 years. And that's what alms were. It wasn't giving money. It was giving grain and wheat and food in a community storehouse for hard and bare times when people were lacking. And that's when Joseph started giving to the community. And then he ended up giving to the brothers who had basically human trafficked him. So again, the biblical story is in every story. There are people before us who have suffered, but we are very lazy. We are very comfortable. And I believe this is because we are beloved. God has been very patient with us, but America has been nothing but filth. Just look at like Jersey Shore. And we used to be so adorable. I was watching like old MySpace videos yesterday, and the girls still were insecure and they would smile and look down with their eyes and be shy. And now everyone is turned into a caricature. Nothing is real. The hair, the nails, nothing. And not all of us here right now are human. All right, so what's the next thing? I went over cashless. I went over this type of mass possession that you're going to see increase soon-ish. Spring solstice, I've been put on notice, is a strange time. So I want to show you a few pictures, and I just want you to look at them. Again, we're looking at images. I think I figured out, this is really quick. I might do a short on this. I think I figured out how they make crop circles. Why this popped into my head and why I'm showing you this, I can't fully explain. But I think they can do it in the clouds too, because the clouds are part water. And if you have like some kind of steam or fog, then you can make shapes up there. And that's when we see like the tic-tac-toe and things like that. That's back in the day when they were just new to, the spraying of everything. So anyway, this is cornstarch and water solution under the influence of vibration. Now, this is called cymatics from the ancient Greek, Romanized. Chyma, I can't read Greek, I apologize, is a subset of modal vibrational phenomena. The term was coined by Swiss physician Hans Jenny. Jenny? Oh, it's a 1972. That number keeps coming up too. Typically, the surface of a plate, diaphragm, or membrane is vibrated in regions of maximum and minimum displacement are made visible in a thin coating of particles, paste, or liquid. Different patterns emerge in the extraordinary medium depending on the geometry of the plate and the driving frequency. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell real quick. So when you play a certain kind of music at a certain frequency, like classical music, what you get is sacred geometry. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Here we go. There, you can read that if you like. Cymatics. Now, why do I think these are crop circles? I think someone is trying to, give us messages and signs. Now, what I'm going to do, though, did I have it? These are some of the original crop circles and the beginning of crop circles, okay? They found some of them are DNA strands. They don't know how quickly they occur. They don't know how it's happening. And they don't know why when they test for radiation, it is spiked in these areas. Legend has it that the Ark of the Covenant, God gave specific instructions to the priests on what to wear and how to handle it and what to put it in, because the ark isn't actually, there's something inside the ark, and I believe that it is radioactive power and energy, right? And if harnessed properly, we should all have free energy, easy peasy, no problem. This is why the elites are hiding. I believe that they are not present right now for what's happening. Again, I believe it's a purge. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, in pictures, not in like graphic detail or anything. But again, you have to read beyond what they're saying. Look at the images that you're seeing. Look at what they're sharing. Now, why does this matter? Well, radiation is important to remember. I believe the word holy and set apart. God is above us because he is, when we fell, we can't be near him because he would fry us, literally, like we were in a microwave. We have to get refined to some point where that won't happen anymore. Okay. Do I believe the big C is real? Yes and no. I believe that there are ways to work around it and ignore it and prosper and thrive, regardless of whether it's real, can be given to people, can be put into injectables. Okay. God, I'm trying so hard here. This is so ridiculous. Okay. Why is this important? Again, messages. What's happening now is the perfect storm. And I believe that we could be ill at ease and get diseased in our temples, both by outer interference and by inner acceptance. So the first thing you want to do is refute and rebuke damage. Okay? You really want to claim your sovereignty. You really want to be under God's habitation. I give mine back to him usually. The Most High, the one at the tippy top, the creator, maker, one who loves us, Father, Almighty God. And possibly Mother too, but I'm not going to get into this right now, and I'm not going to argue with people. Time is too short to argue about such things. It's not a salvation issue. And the men need to stop, really. Christ was not a political driving force. He was never meant to be. The Jewish people, the synagogue of Satan, SOS, son of Sam, they're giving us clues everywhere. They're very literal. They don't understand parables. They don't understand analogies. So therefore, they take all of it literal. They think their Messiah is going to... Christ could have cared less about that. Well, I don't mean could have cared less. Like, once we are in alignment, in proper alignment, and once we actually love each other, everything else falls into place. And I know that sounds corny to people, but actual love is not tolerating bad behavior. It's calling people out, not outrageously and on camera and shaming them in that way. Although that's what it took with me. And I hate to say that. I was that dead in my sin. And I know some people might not be here for this, and I hope you hang out anyway, because there's more to show you. But again, why am I showing you this? Because there were messages all along. And because you have to get your mind into a certain framework of how this technology can be used to manipulate you. I'm not saying angels aren't real. I'm not saying things aren't happening. But I am saying you need to be somewhere in the middle. You don't need to accept and receive anything other than, I think, God's grace and gift of eternal salvation through his son, the Messiah, Hamashiach, Yeshua, Jesus, Joshua, Yeshus. But that's where I'm at. I don't believe in forced conversion either, and holy wars. That's not true conversion. And all you're going to do, you're going to entrap and enslave a group of people, and they're going to go along with you just to get along. And eventually they're going to revolt. And that's what we're seeing now. But some of these YouTubers want that. And it's all the ones who are the old Egyptians. They've already taken over a lot of the vessels. They call them containers. I call them temples of God. That's our body. These big YouTubers aren't shown unless it's with a purpose, and the visuals are to gain your passive consent. You have to physically say, I do not consent. I do not consent to my air being sprayed. Right? I do not consent to the sun being hidden. For as far and as wide as my territory goes, only the Heavenly Father knows. Say it. It helps. I wouldn't tell you this if it didn't work. When I ask for sun, I get sun. When I ask for rain, I get rain. When I had to leave work yesterday and it was raining all day, I asked for the sun to come out. And the kids at work are starting to notice that, which is kind of weird, but whatever. Okay, what next? All right, so you're above the paradigms now, right? You're seeing that technology and spirit work hand in hand. The physical and the spiritual. Just because it's spirit doesn't mean you can't hear it. It doesn't mean it can't touch you and affect you. It's just on a different frequency, so you can't see it with your physical eyes. But it is interfering with our physical realm. You're seeing it all over. And not all of it's AI videos. Now, here's the deal. Some of these YouTubers who are doing the compilation, I noticed this the other day, they're telling you AI videos are real videos and real videos are AI videos. Not all of them, some of them. And again, I'm watching this because I know how addicted people are to the screens. And the people who aren't seeing things in their skies at home are going to go online to look. Think about it. If you're not seeing it for yourself, then the story isn't told yet. Be patient. Be open, but not too open. Stand firm in truth. Be as honest as possible in this time. And if you are around your enemies, it's better to say nothing at all. There is no such thing as a lie of omission. That's been a lie again against people like me who are very honest. They don't have to know everything because they're using that against us as well. Okay, real quick. I told you about how when I went to confession, it was weird and how a couple of times now at church, things have bothered me. Like the old lady outside selling Eclipse t-shirts. And then somebody being in the confessional and like just sounding like they were getting into a fist fighting there. It was very strange. And then trying to follow along with the Latin proper mass and there being bits that aren't actually in it. And so that really bothers me, right? So, and it's not wicked yet. Then I start noticing other little things like there's a man there and a family there, but now there's two women, which was kind of odd. And then I'm seeing really young women with children, really young. And I don't, again, they're getting rid of a certain generation because they're thinking that they're going to raise our children again, do the orphan train thing again. That's what they did to my mom. That's why most of us don't know our history. And there's more of them now than there are of us, I believe, but we have more sovereignty. This is our state. Do not give it up. Do you hear me? Terra firma is ours. God used to come down with us every evening and walk in the Garden of Eden. Now they say Christ didn't say anything when Satan said, these are all my kingdoms, I can give them to you. They're not his kingdoms. Satan lies. He's a liar. That's the first thing he does. Christ didn't say anything. Man cannot live on bread alone. Get thee behind me, Satan. Now, what is Satan's? Okay, he's the god of this world. The system, the beast system, the monetary system is his. It's all his. I don't even know that we should be using it anymore. Or the internet. And again, I'll get into that. These spiritual beings are not on the same frequency as us. They are not on the frequency of matter. And so therefore they are able to hop on the Ethernet and go all over the place. Okay? They're harvesting our energy at the concerts and they're disappearing people. Why are they disappearing people? Because some of the Nephilim are hungry, I guess. Now, I'm not accusing this person. I just want you to look at this. They've either been in front of us the whole time or they're replacing people. She is the only star, I think, who has the type of power who's actually performing live now. And maybe Beyonce, which I haven't thought was her for a long time. I think that's maybe her mother, and I know that sounds weird, but I think that might be who they replaced her with a while back. And again, I don't want to get into how they're doing this because it's a lot. It's a lot if you don't get it. Okay. And yes, there are droids, apparently. Oh, God. I don't believe in clones, though. I just don't. They want our vessels. This is why they want us to abandon them. Okay. I really don't believe in clones. Something happens. I don't know if something degrades the vessel, which they call the container. Google it. This stuff is like in the deep web. It wasn't on the dark web. It's just all over in like the deep web. Okay, so I want you to see this. I sung Taylor Swift's music, but I know what I know now. I am born again. I know she holds the keys to the palace, and she is quite the gatekeeper, and she takes people under her wing. I know she is beautiful. She is a good performer. Apparently, she is Anton LaVey's daughter. Is that who it was? She looks like the reincarnation of her. When they put their spirits into another vessel, they actually do start to resemble their original self. I don't know why that happens. And again, don't ask me how I know these things. I know this is wild. I know it's weird. I know most people will probably go past this video. But I've already prayed over it, and I've already prayed that everyone who needs this information will see it. Stop going to concerts. Stop going to sporting arenas. Even the Walmart is dangerous. And I told you about that, I think last year, about how they were allegedly remodeling. There were holes in the floors, and like they herded us around one way. That's what they did to me at church the other day, and I wanted to tell you about it. So there were people there that weren't there before. And my spouse, my pseudo spouse, whatever he is, actually went. We are in a bit of a battle of the wills right now. If you actually do watch me, then you know this. I mean, if you watch me if they've got me posted on some freaking screen like Truman, because that's at this point that's what it feels like. But I try to ignore it. Again, that's if you're having the creeps and you have the creeps and you get these feelings, it's because we're being monitored like highly right now in this time. God's angels too are here with us, and yes, they're like the Dyson spheres with a bunch of eyeballs. But I think that has a lot to do with cameras too. Or are they organic? Yes and no, I guess is the answer to that. Again, high tech was God's first, so we've got to start retraining our brains. And high tech involves crystals and gemstones. It just does. Aaron's vest had crystals and gemstones and was made of linen because it protected him from the fire of the Holy Spirit, which I believe affects us fallen humans as radiation. That's why he had to wear the linen vest. You need to invest in linen, and you need to either wear it head to toe or the same material head to toe so you're on the same frequency and they're not canceling each other out because it acts as a shield. Okay, I know that sounds wild. This is not me. This is stuff I've picked up. I totally believe God led me to it, and I'm giving you breadcrumbs right now. All right? Now, I want you to see this. And we've just Erin Valeni, if you don't know who she is, look her up. She called her mom in her last phone call home in a panic, saying, "We've been in the Matrix this whole time. We're already inside of it." Look at Sabrina Carpenter's shoes. Sabrina Carpenter is about the same size as me. Well, actually, she's an inch taller. I'm 5 foot. She's allegedly 5'1". Look at her heels. Not only is she on heels, but her whole foot is elevated. So that adds an extra, 3 inches? So right here, we're talking about this girl is up there, all right? Like 8 inches. I've never noticed how awkward, and I don't mean any disrespect, but next to her, Taylor looks a bit awkward. Now, again, I don't even know if these two are here, because look at this. Do you see? Now, I know this is they put 2 images. This is the screen behind her. You see how it's fuzzy right there where her hair is? And a lot of them do wear disguises as they perform, so every day they can just go about their lives. Miley Cyrus told us that. It's true. I believe the elites have proxies. I believe somehow I know or my family knows whoever is behind Elon Musk. I believe he is a proxy, the actual guy you see. I don't think that's actually him because they want to be untouchable. Now look, these are tap shoes. They add maybe 2 inches, maybe. All right. Look how big she is compared to Sabrina. Now, I'm not body shaming here. She's a beautiful woman. And she stands next to her football player, right? And when you're at a concert, aren't you pretty far away, right? Wouldn't it be kind of hard to tell how big this person actually was? Unless you're in the front rows, which most of those people are actually fans, relatives, and seat holders. Bet you didn't know that part. Oh, God. I did it again, you guys. I'm so sorry. Here's the picture. These shoes add like 8 or 9 inches. These shoes are like 2. I got to figure out how to see the comments too. But again, I never thought they'd shut the internet down, but I think we're already being severely restricted. I don't think America gets any real news in from the other countries. I think they fooled us the whole time. We are in Babylon. We never left. The Native American, or not the Native American people. I believe the Native American people are like the lost tribes, and I believe the darker complected people that we call African Americans, I think a lot of them are the original royal bloodlines of the Egyptians. And I think it was the opposite. We were told it was one way, but I think there's been a couple of resets. And I think every country and every race and every gender gets a quote unquote turn. How many times has this happened before? I don't know. Is this the real deal? Understand they've had this technology the whole time. You have been watched and monitored your entire life. Okay? The whole time. Now I'm going to switch the picture. I want to try and this one. Okay. So look how tall she is compared to Sabrina. Okay? She's like a foot taller. I'm not even kidding. Maybe more. If Sabrina's 5'1", then that chick's got to be like 6'7", 6'5". She's a big girl. All right? I recently noticed that some other people were a lot bigger. Remember when Carrie Underwood's face changed? Okay, so who am I going to show you next? Check this out. I'm going to remind you. We just lost this president, which is ironic. Did they have a snack while they were there? You're saying, what are you talking about, Jen? What is this? Why did they do this? You tell me they're not telling us right in our face. Are you kidding me? Look at these people. What is happening? That's not AI. There's the shadow on her arm from his arm. They're holding hands. Let me see if I can get it up closer for you guys. Okay, this is not AI. All right? His leg, the carpet's ruffled perfectly. Yep, the shadow's back there where it should be because the light's coming from over here somewhere. So he wouldn't have any shadows reflecting in the front of them. The cushions are there and bent. They are seated. You see the little shadow from her hand there. You see his jacket folded. They are actually holding hands. There is no blurriness over there. Okay. They might have trimmed the dress a little there. But so far, everything looks legit. Well, why don't somebody explain this to me? Was Biden always this size? Was Joe Biden always this size? I'm going to tell you another secret. What we know as Washington, D.C., that place has been boarded up since the original BLM riots. I know because I was watching a live stream because of my little witnessing addiction or whatever you want to call it. And he was supposed to show the rally in front of the White House. And he started showing us a couple of the streets and things being boarded up. And then real quick, it was shut down. And now all of a sudden they have a fence around it again or whatever. Or they put it around right before the election. I don't know if it's still up there. I don't pay attention. But they're pretty big, no? They're pretty big. Everybody laughed at me. The 2019 earthquake in Mexico, it wasn't an earthquake. Only one building was shaking. And if you look at the inside of that building, like one of 2 videos that they showed of it, RT was telling us the truth. That's why they shut down Russia. That's why they're telling us they're the enemy. Okay? They were trying to show us what was happening. Belarus, they don't show on there no more either. I saw Belarus on RT. Something was going on there. Some very wild things were happening. And they were welcoming people landing. They looked like maybe foreign troops, but they looked very different. And they had face masks on. And I haven't seen, I don't think, original footage in a long time. So what is happening? First, we see Taylor Swift, and then they use her in that article. Check this out. Look at the headlines that they're using. Check this. And I did this video the other day as like a short, and there was no sound, so I apologize for that. So here we go. Excuse me. 21 days. Taylor Swift Eras Tour. Seattle concert fans spark earthquake. Lisbon concert register on earthquake scale. Taylor Swift closed her era tours on top of the world. Now what? Okay, so her name is being... Now check this. What if you had children and they had a very special diet and you wanted everyone to get their share, right? You'd do anything for your child, wouldn't you? Especially if you knew they only had a limited time to quote unquote live. You'd want them to really live it up, right? That's why I was talking about Brat Summer. If you didn't see that video, go check it out. I call the Nephilim brats, affectionately, of course. I try to preach the gospel to them. They don't want to hear it, but whatever. Again, time is too short to mince words. Cards Against Humanity, Binding Isaac, all these video games that my sons were playing all had the fallen in them. They all had ritual stuff in them. The summoning instructions for children books on Amazon. It just goes on and on and on and on. We have to turn it off and stop watching it. That's the first thing to do. Stop paying them the attention that they so desperately require. Stop going to concerts. You don't believe me that they're a trap? Huh. Well, funny thing. Just like people were getting amnesia at Taylor Swift concerts, he starts getting sick. Or everyone starts getting sick in this movie at this concert. It's called Trap. M. Night Shyamalan, one of my favorite directors. His daughter loves the performer, who is actually M. Night Shyamalan's daughter, who some people are observing might be Mia playing a part, come back from her retirement. I don't know anything about that, but I will tell you what I think the movie is telling us. They're literally telling you that concert venues are traps now. You got Travis Scott. You got amnesia at Taylor Swift concerts. You had the thing at Ariana Grande. Why do you think she's the queen now? What happened at her concert in the UK several years ago? She's not been the same since. These people do these rituals. People get harmed. They apologize. We forgive them and keep buying their crap and keep attending their concerts and keep feeding them energy and literally feeding them. People start getting sick at this concert. They don't know what's going on. And what I find strange is the whole movie, like they show all the songs. And his daughter, the quote unquote actress, does she know, is she like me? Is she the Mark? Is she the Truman? Because her acting is like nothing I've seen. It doesn't seem to be acting to me. Again, I've observed this since 2019, since this second incursion, this new whatever you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. I call it the end of this age because I don't know what else to call it. Some of these things are very hard to explain, but I want people... you have people believing in the rapture and praying to be, caught up. There are too many people who are still lost. I can't pray for that. I just can't. And I think it already happened, at least in part. I think a lot of these people, you have these things happening, these concerts, and then you have they're coming into agreement with shows they're watching. You have the agreements on Netflix. We talked about that. And all these apps where it's the contract agreements. Nobody reads them. We just sign them because we want to have our entertainment. We want to use the app. We want to have access, right? They've got us in a trap with all these things. Unsubscribe to as many things as possible, right? Break the agreements. End the agreements. You're allowed to change your mind. All right. So concerts are no good. Don't go to them anymore. Don't go to sporting events. Don't do it. The thing in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Sphere, that is dangerous for so many reasons, because humanity obviously is not good with technology, or we've got the fallen here. So, you always got somebody that wants to control things. I just can't anymore. So I told you about the cashless thing. Okay, and my heart is broken over this next one, and I can't tell you why, other than I watched my son listen to him a lot for a couple of years steady, and similar things that physically are happening to this young man are occurring to my son. A lot of these celebrities are losing weight. They don't look the same. They don't sing the same. He did a ritual on the stage right before Hollywood started being lambasted, and it was called Hollywood is Bleeding. He has not been the same since, and he was so sweet. Sometimes these things that you put into words, if you have enough quote unquote power in your word, if you wield the sword of the Spirit, they will happen to you. Several of his songs now have come to pass in his life. Diddy is now living out the lyrics in his songs. The Rona, back in 2019, is from a Dean Koontz book. How many more media pieces do I have to show you to prove this is not a theory? But it's probably a conspiracy, because it's definitely more than 3 people. All right, you see his teeth? You see how his mouth is really wide? Poor thing. He's one. He can stand next to Taylor Swift, and I think he dwarfs her. Let's see. Oh, gosh, I did it again. At least I'm not too far behind. All right, see his teeth? They start going bad. They start causing him pain in here. These people all have that same type of voice. They have that raspy thing in the back. There's his sign, his allegiance. Victory. 2. Bye, maybe? Not peace, but war. And FU if you're in the UK. I told you, everybody's doing this now. Everybody. It's like the 33. When you see that, you know you're being deceived in some way, shape, or form. Okay? So he was just adorable. Music was good, heartfelt. However, his dad owns a basketball team. Basketball players are them too. They are magicians, sorcerers, whatever you want to call them. I ain't got time to play with words. Okay? So again, I saw some of the things happening to this young man happen to my son. They were both very in shape. They started listening to certain kinds of music. Obviously, my son started singing along with it. They both have lost a severe amount of weight. But again, some people are hip to what's happening right now. Ask yourself why so many people are shaving their heads. And look, this is a demon. When you want to rewrite yourself, something's going on. All right? And they all have to co-sign with the Antichrist. But again, he's one of them. His dad owns a basketball team. Funny how he went kind of chunky to really thin. And he moved to Utah. Imagine that. I don't think the baptisms of the dead that the Mormons do, I don't think those are hurting the demonic possession cause either. I think that is helping people become seriously possessed. You're giving consent to another spirit. You have a spirit. You're giving consent to something else that doesn't have a body anymore to take yours. And that should be your first clue that you should keep it, because something's it. Now, look, the more ink he got, and I'm not picking. My heart breaks for these young people. I don't know what's happening. Like, I do, but I don't, right? There's something really wrong. Now, they all have that same type of voice. I don't know how to. There we go. Okay, so he was really in the rap scene. I would swear my son knew him. I would swear he was a friend of my son. Ugh, this is so hard. Okay. I don't know. This is wild. Okay. So, real sweet kid. All right. Do you see the teeth? See how wide his smile is? He probably has dental issues and he probably has pain. Eugenia Cooney on TikTok, same issue. The tattoo artist that my husband and I, quote unquote, met and fell into our lives, whom I called Diablo, who one night, when of course there was no other witnesses, told me he was a fallen angel, and my life went to complete shit. Do not play with these things. It is real. Whatever is happening will affect you. All right? Now, I don't know if I don't want to say, like, my lane is not judgment. That's God. I don't want to say that people with mixed bloodlines are not savable or salvageable. I am just showing you what is possible if you get too far off track. If you sing dark lyrics, you could say, oh, well, they're just symbols. Oh, well, it's just a song. This is not good. You can't tell me this transition. People, oh, he's happy. Leave him alone. Is he, though? Is he happy? Do you know that? Look. Now, yes, we all eat too much. Like, I'm not disagreeing with that. But so many people are going through the same things. What is happening? What is it? Who else? Who else? Post Malone Ozempic. That's an excuse they're using. You want to know what's doing this? How they know that they can't eat a lot right now. Okay? I gotta watch what I say. They know they can't eat a lot right now. So certain things help them with that. Remember how I said in the Gospel of Essene, the Gospel of Peace, Jesus referred to Satan as a parasite? And I'm not the only one, again, that caused an avalanche of butterfly effects all over. Google it if you don't believe me. We started talking about this a couple of years ago. I think that's how they're doing this. Demons are parasitic. It's a symbiotic relationship. They will feed off of you. All right? They cause illness. They have principalities and powers. What one is he with right now? Several. Obviously, self-harm is an issue. When you get that many piercings and that many tattoos, you're trying to, and I know this because I was there for a time. Thank God I stopped at, like, my arms. I thought I was being creative and expressing myself, but I'm going to tell you now, especially, even Catholic priests are saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with tattoos. Anything that is injectable. Talk to your doctor about this first. I would not recommend at all in these times. Stay as healthy as possible. Eat as natural as possible. Eat over or pray over all of your food. Stop letting other people prepare your food. Do it all yourself. And I think part of my problem is that I had a chicken salad yesterday. I haven't had an animal in probably a year now. And you guys, I'm telling you, there's something wrong with it. It is not good. I know pestilence is coming because I saw it in my life. Food that I had just bought molded really quickly. Food that arrived partially frozen that molded really quickly. They can, for commercials, they do it all the time. They make food look appealing, but on the inside, that's not what's going on with it. Watch what they're doing in a certain way and emulate them. If they're avoiding food, you should avoid it too, right? If they're avoiding the alcohol and they're sober now, you should avoid it too. There's a reason they're doing this, because they knew it was coming. Do you know that the government, during the Prohibition, to punish people for smuggling and bootlegging alcohol, they allegedly poisoned the alcohol supply to get people to stop drinking. And people died. People were ended. Look it up. Do your own research. Do your own homework. All my disclaimers are in the description box. I don't know how many more of this I'm going to be allowed to do. I don't know if this will reach anyone. I pray that it does. Look up Psalm 91. Perhaps I'll read it to you. Okay, so in church, I got to finish that story. They're not following along with the Latin hymns. Things are getting kind of weird, okay? I think we'll go back to this, and I'll close some of these tabs just so, because I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a minute. So things to watch out for: cashlessness and pestilence. The seals of the Catholic Church, I believe, are being broken. Hell shall not prevail against God's church, but church buildings and church institutions made by man are being judged first. That is just what's happening. Now, I'm going to start closing a couple of these tabs that I've already shown you because I want to show you a couple of more things. And to do that, I need these tabs. Sorry. Okay. Let's get rid of this one. And then, all right, I want to show you. Okay, so in church, what happened? There it is. When I went to leaving, the spouse actually went with me. I didn't think he'd be able to enter it, but it's not an old church. It's a church building. It's not the one with the steeple, and it doesn't have a lot of relics. It has a few, but not a lot, and that sets me off a little bit, but I like the artwork in there, and they do Latin, so I go. And it seemed to be helping at first, but now that he was able to get in there, and a few of the things that touched my spirit about individuals that were in there while I was in there, so then something else happens. He picked the seat, and I just let him because I had to go to confession first. I usually sit on the left. He said, let's sit on the right. When it was almost time to go, there was somebody, it sounded like somebody was yelling from the vestibule as you walk in, but we're in the sanctuary in the pews, so the doors were shut. Now, mind you, they're not supposed to be locked in case people need to get out. And this person, like, you hear a commotion. And I'm like, what is going on? So I kind of wanted to sit there and just reflect and pray for a little bit. But everybody's like lining up and leaving, and they're all going to the one side instead of just going whichever, milling about whichever way we would, depending on where you were parked. I would have went the way that the person was causing a commotion. That's the way I usually go out. But everybody's going in the same direction towards the right hand of me. That's the right hand of the church and out the front near the office. Well, that's like way away from where we parked. We have to go all the way around the building again. And so I'm waiting as these people line up, and they keep looking at me, and I'm like, what is happening? When you just feel like, again, I'm not the center of attention, but something massively weird is happening in my life. Scripture tells us not to think that something strange has come upon us. God asked me to witness, and ever since then, it's like I really am Truman, and like my life is Dark City. And so I'm very lonely, alone, but God is with me. God is good, and I'm trying to do my part, and I hope I am being as coherent as possible, because these are difficult topics when you find out you've been lied to your whole life. And it's very hard to adjust to things after you find out you've been lied to. I'm going to share this to tell you the rest of this church story. So after this commotion on the outside of the church, and these people, like, I'm still sitting, and he like kind of nudges me to get up. I'm not wanting to get up. I'm wanting to see what's going on. But I always sit and pray for a little while after. Not like forever, but it's just what you do. And so they're all filing out the right, and I don't want to stand either because I'm hurting, and I'm like, I'll just let these people pass and I'll wait. Then suddenly, like, the girls are looking, and they're like making eye contact with people behind me, and they just kind of stop, and they're smiling at me, and I'm like, he's like, there, go ahead. And I'm like, why is everybody hurting me? Like, it was very obvious, right? Like, I don't even know how to explain it. I was the only one that this was like happening to. And the whole church, from the way other side of the church, is filing out on the side next to me. And I said it out loud. I said, this is very strange. Why are we being herded? And I don't like that. Because instantly I'm thinking of like those concerts where people have been locked in and fires have erupted all over the UK and stuff. This stuff has been happening for years, guys. And this is just like the final symphony. And those were their rituals. These concerts, when they perform, they look like rituals because they are sorcerers. They are Nephilim hybrid, and they're making designer babies now. And I think they paid people to do it. And I think that's what's happening. And they say Amber Heard went to live a quiet life after Elon Musk kept her part in the movie Aquaman while she was pregnant. Some people speculated it might have been his child. His other ex just had one of his children. So they're wanting babies right now, and a lot of them. And I'm not sure why. I mean, I know why, but there's a couple different reasons that I'm not going to state vocally. I'm sure you can figure it out. So I said, I don't like this. I'm being herded. And the pseudo spouse, the whatever he is, he says, in that sing-song voice that I don't like almost like when Legion is speaking through him. Well, they must want you to see something then. And I'm like, okay. And so we get out there and I see an ambulance and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder what happened. And this is like the second or third time there's been some commotion when I've been inside this church. And this time it was blatantly obvious that people were trying to not let me see this person or what was happening. Is that weird? Like, is that weird, guys? I don't know. Very few people even comment anymore. So it's that's frustrating too, but I'm not gonna. So this venue, these guys, ANYMA, I want you to see. This was very occultic. And again, they're showing you what's coming. All right. This is the fallen angel. This is what it looks like from the outside. Do you remember? Did you ever do that thing as a child? And it's so weird. I was just doing this the other day. So you take your hands like you're praying and you lock your fingers. First you do your index fingers and you raise them and you fold all the other ones over and you say, this is the church. This is the steeple. Look inside and see all the people. For some reason, that old nursery rhyme popped in my head. Now, can somebody please tell me why the UK Ferris wheel, why we have a replica of that in Vegas? Is everything in Vegas? I honestly don't know if we've ever seen outside of our country because they have fake everything all over here. We've got pyramids in Vegas that make it look like Egypt if they want to. Like, seriously, this is... The city planning all over the earth is the same so that they can carry out the same script, the same in each city. It's easier to do that way, I'm sure, and more effective and efficient. And these things don't have emotion, and they don't really need to sleep or eat. They just do that for pleasure now, and they want to live through your vessel. And this is its sign. They are breaking out, man. Now, Afterlife, this is what it's called. This is what their concert's called. Afterlife presents Enema, the End of Genesis at Faire, Las Vegas. If you watch it, I've shared some videos. It's pretty wild, okay? You have all these other celebrities really losing weight too, like Ariana Grande, Sharon Osbourne, Kelly Osbourne, Jack Osbourne. They're trying to give you hints. Those ones are at least trying to help. You have Jessica Simpson, whom I've showed you, Madonna, Adele. Some of these people went from thick and, quite adorable to just bare bones. And I'm not trying, again, this is not about body shaming. This is about the spiritual battle that we are facing. And it is so bad right now that it is exhibiting itself through us and manifesting physically through us, okay? And these stars that we've been watching from Hollywood, they are the fallen ones. And they are the basketball players. They have the mixed bloodlines. They are very large already. I'm 5 foot. I'm like a midget in this world. I never realized it before, but I guess I am. And you better wake up real quick to where you're at because I only foresee things getting wilder in the near future. But just because you see something on a video doesn't make it true or real. Sometimes just because you see it in person doesn't make it real. But it's funny. The things that they're saying are real are fake, and the things they're saying are fake are real. Can you imagine? This thing allegedly has already caused accidents. People driving down, staring at it, getting so mesmerized. That they just get in accidents. Can you imagine? Okay, so this is also odd. Okay, so not only was I heard it at church, but then this is the last part of the personal testimony. For some reason, a lady drives up to the window. Now, why am I telling you this part? Hear what she said. First, she wasn't like parallel with the window. She had to pull up and then she had to back up. It was like a movie. And she's kind of giggling. Like she's just kind of flighty, right? So she has me giggling and I don't know why I'm giggling. And she gives me her name and, I ask for her name and I say, I tell her what she owes me and she's like, okay. She's like, I've never done this before. I'm new at this. Like this just really cute, nervous giggle, right? But when she said it, what hit my mind, and again, I go with these alerts when I get them, was like she meant she had never done any of it before. Not just like driving up to a window, but that's what I said because that's what I got at first. I'm like, oh yeah, this was new to me too when I first moved to this area. I said our drive-throughs were just fast food. We didn't have them in like corner stores and whatnot. And she just giggled again. And I said, yours isn't ready. I'll bring it out to you in a couple minutes. And she drove and parked where I told her and just giggled at me. And so when I took her food out to her, I said, now you have a nice holiday and you stay warm, Merry Christmas. And she starts giggling and she goes, thank you. And she goes, you're God. And starts laughing again and drives away. Somebody really wants me to believe that this is a simulation. And for whatever reason, they want everybody declaring that they are the big one. But again, there's a hint about that in the movie The Fourth Kind. When the girl does that, she gets paralyzed by an alien entity and possessed by it for a moment or two. Is that a hint? I don't know. Do they have access to you then once you have committed the ultimate idolatry? Is that the sin against the Holy Spirit, saying that you are it when you are not? I don't know. All I know is I'm not saying it, but for whatever reason that happened to me. And again, these things have a weird butterfly effect on people. So we talked about everything except for the last thing. Now, I'm talking about this last because we will probably go over this in the next video. Okay, so Trump World's Fair at Trump Plaza was a hotel and casino in Atlantic City. Huh. Well, how did I hear about this? I honestly don't remember. Somebody said something about World Fair, Trump's World Fair. And there we go. So what does he say here? Oh gosh, is that a video? I don't want to see the video. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So what did he say about us? And when you look back at the state fairs, everybody's looking all confused. They have things that look like they're messing with people's, brain frequency. The streets are all but empty, right? People look like they're brand new there, don't really quite. What if the people who are left, because there's some type of, they can't get rid of all of us because we're like an endangered species then? What if they delete our memories and just start us over? What if that's what happened to some of the societies? Some of us, they get rid of to feed to the you-know-whats when they wake up every so many often. And, because some of the Nephilim are cannibalistic, and there's a cannibalistic curse mentioned in the end days in the book of Baruch. I shared that video on the community tab today as well. I might show you that real quick before I bounce, but let's look at this real quick. Trump's latest idea to enshrine American greatness is to throw the country the most spectacular birthday bash, one that will last all year. In 2026, the U.S. will celebrate the semi-quintessential, the quarter millennial since its declaration of independence. To commemorate the anniversary, Trump is proposing a blowout, a 12-month-long Salute to America 250 celebration. In a new policy video, Trump calls for a great American state. Fair. For some reason, instead of fair, I hear purge. But we'll go on. Featuring pavilion from all 50 states, nationwide high school sporting contests, Mount Olympus much? Maybe that's how they figure out who's Hunger Games. And the building of Trump's National Garden of American Heroes. Gee, I wonder if they'll have a lot of statues there that are bigger in nature and look lifelike. With statues of important America, oh, geez, like Frederick Douglass and Amelia Earhart. Gee, that's interesting, isn't it? Everyone on the screen, almost everyone, is one of these big people. And if you're not, you got to sign off on it. As a nation, we should be preparing for the most spectacular birthday party. We want to make it the best time of all. Heavy on patriotic themes and state planning. It has been on his radar for a while. In 9 years, the U.S. will celebrate the 250th anniversary of our founding. Trump also created a 1776 commission while in the White House to better enable a rising generation to understand the history and principles of the founding of the United States in 1776. AKA re-education, anybody? Maybe? Again, he's saying all the right things. People want to hear this, but he's not human. He is the image of the beast. He is one of them. He's a droid. I don't know what else to tell you. For the current incarnation of the idea, Trump, even when you look at the pictures of what happened in Butler, the logistics aren't correct. And I went over this. If the guy with the pew-pew was on the one side, he would have either been ended or the streak of what do I call it, red quote unquote paint on his cheek would have been on the other cheek, or other ear rather. It was a ritual. God almighty. And the girl from the FBI was the tech. There's a lot of female techs, in case you didn't know. They're witches. You mix this stuff and it's witchcraft. And that's what our cell phones are, and that's what our computers are. It is a form of witchcraft. We should really stop using it all, but nobody wants to hear that. Oh, Christians can have good things. Oh, Christians can have money. Can we? Look around the world and you tell me there's not one person that money did not corrupt who had money. Please show me that person. Nobody wants to hear this. It's not a popular message. I get it. Okay, so it'll be something, a unique one-year exhibition featuring pavilions from all 50 states. The Great American State Fair will showcase the glory of every state in the Union, promote pride in our history, and put forth innovative visions for the American future. Where's it going to be held, I wonder? Oh, Iowa. To open up the legendary Iowa State Fairgrounds to host the Great American State Fair and welcome millions and millions. Iowa. Can we see what this venue looks like? Because I want to see if it looks like the dream I was talking about in the beginning of this. He proposed Patriot games. Like Hunger Games? Wow. And my dream of Mary in the garden, and he wants a garden. Oh, see what I mean about the synchronicities that keep happening with me? And these, and not me, and the messages that I believe God is giving us. Where is it going to include a queen? Where's it going to be? Oh, an American freedom train that traveled through the continental U.S. nautical parades of tall ships and a U.S. bicentennial parade with special guests that included Queen Elizabeth. Man, what if America's just like their feeding grounds? What if they just get a bunch of Americans, real chunky monkeys, and then they lock us up behind a wall and let the big ones, let their children into Soylent Green, everybody. Okay, so I can't even. This is what we're going to look at next. In the next video, we are going to talk about, oh, jeez. I'm sorry, I'm there reading this. I apologize. I'm really not feeling well. We did have fog here. We did have the mist, but I've been walking to work in the snow and the rain. Why am I beating myself? Number one, because I need to have another spiritual breakthrough, and sometimes that comes through challenging yourself physically. Number two, I really wanted to make my children and family proud of me if they're still in there. Not proud maybe, but not embarrassed of me. And I need to push myself, to stay strong and to get out there and try to share love with people. So I'm going to try and include this in the description box. It tells you where it's at, and it tells you Iowa. But we're going to, real quick, can we Google the Iowa Fairgrounds and see? Because if he's wanting millions and millions of people there, okay. I wonder what else has been held here. Wow, there's an arena. That's cool. Ooh, map. Let's check this out. Is that like the bicentennial age? Okay, here's their little... They like these things. I'm not sure why, but some of my drama, kind of started, the undercurrents. Again, a lot of these people are in agreement with this. My spouse was into some shady things, I guess, that I knew nothing about, and that's what happens. That's why I guess I had to be the provider, was just to keep me away from the indoctrination of my children. I could use worse words, but I'm not going to, because that's their story to tell if they ever choose to. Okay, so midways are never a good idea. They could be literal feeding grounds. How big is this place? Can I see it? Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'm always impressed. This looks like an old baseball stadium, like you see in a movie. How cool. It is very open, though, which is different. Huh. Oh, okay. All right. Well, so this is where it's going to be, I guess. What are they saying, though? Is it, definite, or is it just oh, wow, look how many people they could jam in there. But can you get I wonder how many people it holds. Our fairgrounds near here, like, I just live in a small area, and I think they're big, but I'm also a city girl originally. All right, let me check my list here and make sure there wasn't anything else I had to show you pictures of. Because a lot of these things, again, I'd be really careful if you're Catholic with confession. Make sure the church you go to, you know what they're saying, even if you want to be traditional and go to Latin Mass. The devil knows Latin too, guys. Like, he does. He just does. He hates when it's used properly because it's in the proper order. English is a little backwards, but maybe they're just telling us that because they don't want us speaking English. Dog trainers, when they train dogs, they say the best thing to share, or the best thing to how to train dogs is in English. That's wild. That's really a cool building. Like, I actually really dig that facade. When I talk about facades and sets, my town really does remind me of Truman anymore. There's facades on the front of the building on Main Street. Like, it looks like it was all done up right before I moved here, maybe 20 years ago. I don't know. It's very just weird. It's like a set. But we're going to take a look at this state fair next video. Oh, gosh, there's one more thing, and this is important. Not those. I'm going to go to a different screen. Stop, Sammy. Where is it? Show it to me, please. All right, I'm going to have to Google it, so hang on, because it was here, but I don't know where it went. Okay, so I'll do it here. Oh, shoot. Let's see if I can find it, guys. Hang on. World Fair 2025, because there's not just one in America. Check this out. And my son started messing with the youngest one, who gives me all these signs and symbols of the Antichrist. Now, again, this is not me being a diviner. This is what God told me. Like, this is how he shows me things. I pray all the time. I pray to the Most High God. I don't mess around with anything else because I just don't know, right? So I want you to check this out. This is coming as well. 2025. Do you see their emblem? Do you see their icon here? And this is all I want to show you of this, because I'm going to turn this into a short. What is this? What is the eyes? What is the 102 days to go? It looks like a cross between Arona and one of the throne angels, one of the Dyson ball spheres, like from the side. I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know. Oops. There you go. This is wild. Like, look at it. This is like, that's their little dude. That's wild. And they all wear, their colors are red and black. Why? I don't know. The safety vests are a thing too. I'm going to bounce on this video. I hope you found some helpful and useful nuggets in here. I hope the point is to help you see, to point supernatural. God is supernatural. He is here for you, but you have to consent to have his help. I consent daily to divine intervention in my life because I know that I am loved. And I just want other people to know that too. And I want to see as many of us have a peaceful time and harmony as we can. I think we deserve a Renaissance age. I think there have been too many lies and too many secrets, but I do believe in a peaceful resistance, and everything that is alive and breathing has a right to continue in that state, regardless. Okay? Thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry I'm still learning how to use this laptop on the lives. I have not streamed like this since 2016. Okay? Thank you for the couple comments I got. I appreciate you being here. Please feel free to thumb up the video. It does absolutely help. This channel's not monetized, and it's not going to be. I love you guys. Have a blessed day. Hang in there, and we'll talk again soon. Remember, we're going cashless. The excuse for the chip is going to be the missing 411. Don't you love your children? Don't you love them? And the stars really are the fallen angels. They have the Nephilim blood, and apparently they're very large. You guys all have a blessed night. Bye.